My name is Lisa Damon. I'm one of the co-directors here at Massachusetts Farm to School. And thanks everyone for joining us this morning for an hour-long, great packed conversation on farm to school policy here in Massachusetts, specifically highlighting the Farm to School grant bill and all of the great work that's happening across the Commonwealth currently on that exciting initiative. So we have a packed agenda, some really great panelists that are going to speak in a little bit. We will have some time at the end for some questions and answers. We encourage you to use that function here in the Zoom to pop your questions, comments in, and we'll try to get to all of those questions at the end with all of our panelists. I'll let you know this session is being recorded, so just to let you all know that. But with that, I'll just jump right in. We're excited here at Massachusetts Farm to School to host today's session with the Massachusetts Food for Massachusetts Kids Coalition, which we co-facilitate with Food Corps of Massachusetts. We're also excited to have on today's panel some farm to school champions right here in the legislature, Senator Joe Comerford and Representative Smitty Pignatelli, who are longtime farm to school advocates and are the co-sponsors of the current farm to school grant program bill in the legislature. And so before we really jump into hearing from our diverse, dynamic panelists about the work that's happening in their communities, we're really excited to have the senator and the representative welcome everyone today, tell a little bit about their history with farm to school and really their longtime advocacy for the farm to school grant bill. So I think we'll start off with the senator, if you want to just say hello and say a few words, and we're excited to have you. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for organizing this, to you and everyone who's put so much time into this briefing. Special shout out to Northampton, who I know we're going to hear from. So my name is Joe Comerford. I represent the Hampshire Franklin Worcester district in the Senate. I'm so glad to be here with my friend and colleague, Representative Pignatelli, who's been a longtime champion on this issue and so many others that are important for the Commonwealth. So I speak to you today as a bill sponsor, as was noted, but also, you know, I'm a Senate co-chair of the Food System Caucus. I'm on the Statewide Food Policy Council for the Senate, and I'm acting chair of the Joint Committee on Agriculture. And, you know, I loved this bill before I was all of these things or did all of this kind of work, but now, you know, seeing through those lenses about the importance of farm to school just strengthens my commitment. I've also had, because of great organizing, the opportunity to see farm to school in action in schools in my district. And it, you know, I think of it as a program that not only invests in local farm businesses, and I think we should all be about, you know, maintaining our food system, our farms and food system as best we can. So this is an economic incentive, a driver, but it also is educating the next generation to value having food and agriculture production in our communities and in our schools. So it's really a win-win in so many different ways. It's a complement, I believe, to universal school meals, which I'm very proud to have voted with the representative and all of our colleagues to support. And it's allowing food and farms and agriculture to become part of school life. So let me just say thank you. I'm proud to have this bill. I'm glad that the legislature has supported this work. I look forward to enshrining it in statute, locking it in with your good advocacy. I do think it's part of a commitment that the Commonwealth must make to end hunger, as the White House Conference on Hunger, Food, and Nutrition. All right, it says that we're going to end hunger in the United States. That means in the Commonwealth by 2030, by 2030. While tackling diet-related diseases. So ending hunger is one part, tackling diet-related diseases is another. This does both of those pieces of the national call that I want us to embody strongly in Massachusetts. And I'm grateful to be with you. Thank you. And now I'm going to, I believe, turn it over to my good friend, Representative Smitty Pignatelli.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Senator. And for everybody on this call, I can't think of a better partner than Senator Comerford on this particular bill, and many other bills too, but in particular this one. And coming from Western Mass, I think it's even more prevalent with our rural areas. I've been in the legislature for 21 years, going on 22 soon, and I represent 18 towns out in the Berkshires, from Dalton down to Mount Washington. Very rural areas, very small towns, and I think the farm to table, farm to school are areas that we should really be focused in on. And as we all know, back in the spring of 23, just a few months ago, DESE awarded grants, the first round of fresh grants. But keep in mind, there was over $1.6 million in requests, which tells you that their need is out there, the interest is out there, and in many cases, the demand is out there. This was brought to my attention several years ago by a school in my district from the students who are actually growing vegetables on the school property as part of their curriculum, but weren't allowed to bring it into the cafeteria. So we worked hard with that. So this is an idea that's been around for a while. I think it's spread like wildfire. I mean that in a good way, but I think it's also an opportunity to not only teach healthy eating, understanding good nutrition, and if we start early, like so many other things in life, if we start younger, I think it becomes habitual in a very good way. I think Senator Comerford touched on the the long-term health issues that can be accelerated without proper nutrition. I remember when I was in school, I couldn't wait for Friday pizza day. That was my best nutrition day. But on the same token, the students are aware of it. They want to eat healthier. I think the legislature has done a good job, especially during the pandemic, with making permanent the breakfast across the Commonwealth without the stigma of having a voucher to show that you're eligible for that. And I think this farm to table, farm to school initiative, I think could really be very beneficial to all. And in the long term, and I'm talking maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, saving all of us actually lots of money from preventative health care. So I'm very excited to be here. As you know, the bill had a hearing in July. I'm a member of the committee, and I'm going to reach out to the chairwoman, and if we can do the same on the Senate side to get this bill released sooner than later. I always get a little nervous. This is more of a political strategy that I want to give to all of you right now. I always get nervous this time of year because the second year of our legislative cycle, we have to be done by July 31st. So anything that's viewed as controversial cannot happen or take place after July 31st of next year. Now, many of you are probably thinking this can't be controversial. Controversial after July 31 is one legislator objecting. That could kill the whole thing. So when I look at the calendar today in October, we're going to be on a mad dash until Thanksgiving, and then we'll reconvene after the new year. And then it's a mad dash to get bills across the finish line and to the governor. So I think we should really start advocating with our committee chairs in the House and the Senate to release that bill, to give us more time after it gets out of the committee to work its way through the legislative process, go through the House, go through the Senate, any changes that are made, get conferenced out, and ultimately to the governor. So we have many more steps to go. And I think by working together with all of you, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I think it's proven to be successful. And I think we could maybe, if we could make this a permanent codified piece of legislation, I think it's going to enhance opportunities for not only farmers, for young people, for our schools, and everybody involved. And I'm really quite honored to be here today. I do have to leave a little bit early. I've got to get to a meeting up in Dalton for 11 o'clock. But if there's anything I can do to help you folks over the next few months, but I would really stress maybe a greater sense of urgency between now and November to get the bill out of committee, to start the next process. And if not, we'll have to crank it up again right after the new year. But this is a good piece of legislation. I think it's non-controversial, and I think many people can benefit from it. So I'm very proud to be here and partner with all of you to get this thing done.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you, Senator. We're really lucky and excited to have them be co-sponsors, and really fortunate that they've are here today to spend some time with us. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Sim Horowitz, who will tell us a little bit about the legislation and introduce our panelists.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. And thank you so much, Senator Comerford and Representative Pignatelli. You really highlighted the tremendous benefits of farm to school programs. So as Lisa mentioned, the coalition that's really been behind this advocacy effort that we're honored to co-facilitate is called Massachusetts Food for Massachusetts Kids, and very focused on supporting schools to provide equitable access to meals for all students, and strengthen those meals to ensure that they maximize the use of locally grown foods, as well as provide meals that are really culturally connected to diverse student populations that exist here in Massachusetts, and support schools to offer engaging food education and experiential garden-based learning opportunities. So this Farm to School grant bill has been the primary policy priority of the coalition. We also were supporters of universal meals, and so excited that this year the legislature made that historic move to make free meals available to all students, something permanent in the Commonwealth. And as Senator Comerford suggested, we really think that this Farm to School grant program is a tremendous complement to that effort. Now that we have universal meals, the Farm to School grant bill, which is S243 and H558 in the House, this is something that would establish a competitive grant program within the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And it would fund things like infrastructure investments. That could be kitchen equipment, it could be installation of school gardens, provide staff training, be that professional development for educators or training for school nutrition staff, as well as supporting educational activities for students. So one of the ways that we really see it as a complement to universal meals is supporting school nutrition staff who are now providing more meals to more kids, to really have the skills and the equipment to be using more local foods in those meals and ensuring that they are offering students the healthiest, highest quality locally grown meals. One exciting feature of this grant program is that it is not just for K through 12 schools, but it is also for early education programs. So we're really able to impact our youngest learners. And the program does prioritize the highest need school districts and those early care programs also serving higher need student populations. And we know that this program can be effective. And we know that because there is a pilot Farm to School grant program called the Fresh Grant underway. The legislature allocated $1 million of COVID relief funding to support a pilot program. And just this past spring, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education awarded the first round of grants. When they put out the call for applications, they received nearly 60 applicants from both K through 12 and early ed programs, and over $1.6 million in requests. Ultimately, 16 K through 12 schools and early education programs received grants of nearly $500,000. But as we see from there being, 3 times the demand for funds as were allocated, we know there are a lot of schools and early ed programs that are eager to access these funds to start up or expand their Farm to School programming. Fortunately, there is funding remaining for one final grant cycle, and that application is now live. So if you are a K through 12 school or early care program listening, we encourage you to check out the application and reach out to us if you're thinking about applying. We can provide support to applicants. And for legislators in the audience, encourage you to ensure that the schools and early care programs in your district know about this resource. We again want to see a really strong group of applicants and demonstrate the continued demand for this program. Great. We do have some information about the full list of grantees available on the MA Food for MA Kids website, and are looking forward to very soon releasing a more comprehensive report on the grantees, which we will be sharing widely. But if you want to get a taste of what all of these 16 incredible programs have been getting up to, please visit MA Food for MA Kids to read short summaries of all the grantees. And I am now really excited to turn it over to today's panelists, because we know that the people who are the best spokespeople for this grant program are those who are actually benefiting from the activities in their schools and early care programs. So the students, the teachers, and all of the hardworking staff who are making these programs possible. So we're honored to have 3 grantees with us today: the Northampton Public Schools, Rainbow Child Development Center in Worcester, and Bridge Boston Charter School. So at this time, we are going to turn it over to them to share a little bit about what Farm to School looks like in their community and what this grant program has enabled them to do. So I will turn it over to Brian and Travis, and I believe some students in Northampton.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name is Brian Jersky. I'm the Farm to School coordinator for the Northampton Public School District. I'm just going to talk about a few of the kind of context background things, and then Travis and a couple of the awesome students here are going to just briefly talk about some of the activities we've done. So at Northampton Public Schools, we have about 1,000 elementary students, and all of those students receive they're doing field trips this year to local farms. We do taste tests once a month at each of those elementary schools, and all of the students have the opportunity to participate in those. We also have about 500 middle school students and nearly 1,000 high school students who also participate in various activities. One of those activities we're starting at the middle school this year is called Club Food Fight, where they're going to learn about some of the, I don't know if you guys know this yet, but some of the issues that we're dealing with in the food system, and they're going to have the opportunity to come up with some solutions to solve those. So when we're doing all of those taste tests and field trips, students are tasting cherry tomatoes and different salad dressings made from their school gardens. All of our elementary schools have school gardens. That is leading to an increase in the demand for healthier, more fresh food on the menus. And that's resulting in us finding and procuring that local healthy, fresh food. So I'm going to turn this over to Travis and a couple of the students, and they're just going to briefly talk about some of the activities they've participated in. Let's get out of the way.
Great. Thank you. So I am a 5th grade teacher in Northampton, and we do gardening activities on a regular basis in the fall and the spring, and students are used to going out there planting, harvesting, and we also tie into our curriculum, our science curriculum. So we do composting experiments. We actually have composters right now that are set up in the garden, and we're testing them to see which is the most effective design. And last year in the spring, we began a school composting program at lunchtime. And I'm going to actually have Lila and Raina talk a little bit about that part.
Last year when we were in 5th grade, we did a lot of composting and doing layers and testing the temperature. And
but we also used the fruit from the 3rd and 5th grade lunches, and every day we got about like 10 pounds total of the extra food.
Yeah, and so we were able to reduce the food waste from the cafeteria, and we also learned about how that impacts our world to be able to reduce food waste.
Great. Anything else to add to that? No? Okay. All right. Yeah, so those are just this little taste of the activities that we're doing here in Northampton. Thanks to the MA Fresh grants. We're really thankful to be one of the inaugural grantees. And we hope this program becomes permanent so more students and families across Massachusetts can benefit. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Brian, and thank you to the students and to Travis. Really great to have you with us today. And I'm now going to turn it over to the group from Rainbow Child Development, Nancy, Satya, and Herbert, to tell us a little bit about their program.
Good morning, everyone. We're so glad to be here. So we are in Worcester, Massachusetts, but Rainbow Child Development Center is a licensed nonprofit early education and care center in Worcester. And our mission, like you all on this call, is to enhance the lives of underserved children and their families by providing high quality education and therapeutic programs. Currently, we are serving over 400 children ranging from 6 weeks up to 13 years old. Our programs are open year-round from 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 at night, and therefore we can work in our gardens throughout the year. And we truly have a very diverse population, Hispanic, Latino, African-American, multiracial, and Caucasian. We are so pleased to be part of Mass Fresh, and we have been working on our healthy lifestyle program for a number initiatives, as we say, for a number of years. And this really complemented it and enhanced our ability to do more. We call it our Garden of Gratitude. Our garden's out in the front of our building. And what we were able to do with our grant was to have nutrition training for our preschoolers and school-age children, hands-on gardening experiences, and attending an on-site farmers market and spending a day at an urban agricultural program here in Worcester. So I'm going to turn it over to Satya, who is our preschool coordinator, and Herbert, who is our assistant, who actually was there front and center throughout the program, and they have a lot of things to say.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Satya, and I'm the preschool coordinator. I want to first and foremost thank you guys, MA Fresh Grant. It has been a pleasure working with every member of your team, and actually working with really young ones, unpredictable as to how they're going to behave each day is challenging, and yet you all have managed to impart something that is really valuable to each one of them. And we see this at every day when the children are having food, lunch. We offer children breakfast, lunch, and snack at school. Your programs have been able to add to what we are already doing. We have an on-site chef who makes really healthy and nutritious food. The food we serve the children is whole wheat and whole grain. Nothing is processed. The sugar level is absolutely low. In fact, we do not eat. We have fruit compote to go along with maple syrup and French toast. That's how conscious we are about what we are serving the children. Our food, the produce that comes to us is from a local market, Gibson Farms, and we get different variety of fruits and vegetables from them, presenting to the children a variety of food that they may not otherwise have access to. Zucchini, broccoli, spinach. There was this child we had last year. He would not want to eat anything but a whole plate of spinach. Give him nothing but spinach, and he could chow down a whole plate, and he would ask for second and thirds. And that is a true testament to the kind of food we are exposing these children to. As Nancy rightly pointed out, we do serve We are working with underserved population. Not everybody has access to fresh produce. So what these children receive and are learning from eating healthy, nutritious food is invaluable. We do incorporate not just in food aspect, but also in terms of teaching the children how to exercise, how to move, and how to use their skills to grow. We do take the children out, weather permitting, twice a day, 45 minutes each day. The children love the watching our garden bed, again facilitated by the MA Fresh grant, watching our garden grow right from scratch. Last year, we had the ability to plant bulbs, which is a big experiment for the children because they planted it in spring, fall of last year, and then they saw it grow this spring, and it was something that just grew, and they were like, how did that happen? And there was that whole recollection of, we planted bulbs at the end of last year when we put the garden bed to sleep. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into, some of it may seem minor to us as adults or even to you guys as you presented, but the impact we have on these children over the range of time is immense. We have had food tasting, like all the other schools have mentioned thus far. The children love the beans. It's unbelievable how much they love the beans and rice, and tasting these food, even though some of them may be very close to them culturally, but yet having the different kinds of beans and knowing where it's coming from has also made a big difference in how they perceive food. How do they know where it's coming from? What do they eat at home, and how is it similar to what we are offering to them? One of the best compliments we have had thus far from a child, the parent is picking the child up at 5, and the child goes to the mom and says, mom is asking this child, and I'm listening to this conversation behind doors. The child mom has no idea I'm right around the corner. Mom says, how was your day today? The food was delicious. And that speaks so much to what the children want to have and how much they enjoy having the fresh fruits and different colors of fresh fruits and vegetables. We have had different ways, and I'll have Herbert, who is, we are very fortunate to have Herbert. Now he plays a double role. He was in the past year in the classroom as a teacher, and he's now promoted to being an assistant coordinator, who is now being able to bring different a perspective on how it felt to be like a teacher in the classroom, experiencing these programs firsthand, and now how he can make a difference as a coordinator. I'm going to hand it over to Herbert.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having us today. So for children, especially our young children, their environment of learning is basically everywhere. Everywhere they step on, everything they see. So here, when it comes to gardening, it's all hands-on activities, and they love that. So when we have field trips out and have this environment of farmers tending to plants and expressing to the children, okay, they need these, just like you need nutrition, you get your foods from your vegetables, and you get all that and get strong from obtaining those nutritious items out of those fruits and vegetables. Your plants also need to be fed. So they talk to them about the compost and how they use the compost to better the plants, as well as all that information being intaken by the children. They are able to, the teachers help them support that learning bring it into the classroom, and create activities with planting, either planting in the classroom that can then be brought into our garden beds outside. So they love those hands-ons. They're always ready. Oh, can I help? Can I help? Especially watering the plants. Here we like to teach them core values of in terms of learning social emotional skills, hands-on activities, gross and fine motor skills. So when they ask and come to the teacher and say, can I get a watering can? I'm paraphrasing here, but they're standing up for themselves and advocating that they want to help and be part of the community and incorporate what they learned from a farmer that told them plants need water, you know? So they come to you and say, can I give the water to the plants? And we say yes, and they just become part of this community, and it becomes this whole cyclical event that, you know, it starts here, the learning process starts here, but they need the support from the community and that enhancement to be able to, in a way, get that seed of thought growing, you know, so they can get a better understanding of what their environment looks like. Most of the children, they think, okay, our plants and food, they come from the market. And here they are coming into a farm area where, you know, they come to understanding that no, you know, it comes from plants and all of that. So it's great to see that happening. Parents become a facilitator and helping teachers kind of enforce that learning, because they're asking, the children themselves are asking the parents, oh, what is this plant? What is this plant? What do I do with this? And the parents are giving them the same information that the farmers that, you know, are there present telling them the same thing. So it becomes a reinforcement tool for them to understand that plants are valuable and we work together in order to obtain some type of good nutrition. In the classroom, we have they can recognize the play foods. We have toys that represent corn, tomatoes, potatoes, all of that. So they create their own little dishes. They sit down at the table with their napkins and their forks, and they pretend to be a family, and they're eating, you know, it's wonderful to see all that. And it just comes from this big community that we're providing for them as a hands-on learning experience. It's great. It's fantastic.
And then thank you, Herbert. I mean, we are so fortunate to have Herbert and Satya who really incorporate and make sure that our programs, you know, it's every day have part of the nutrition and healthy lifestyle. But the final component that I'd like to mention is our monthly parent-free healthy cooking classes, as you've seen on the screen. We're very fortunate to have Chef John Lawrence, who is owner of Pepper's Artful Events, a catering firm here in Central Mass, volunteer his time, but yet with Mass Fresh funding, to then go and purchase ingredients for our parents to learn how to stretch their budget there, which is really challenging, and purchase seasonal fresh fruits and vegetables. What the parents, for an hour long, they receive some information as far as where to, don't buy canned beans, get a bag of beans, how to stretch that budget. John purchases the food usually at Walmart because that's where our parents shop. And he'll say, okay, this is hydroponic. You don't have to, this is hydroponic lettuce. This is always also excellent. And if you want to go to the next slide, that they also have, then they'll, excuse me, we'll go back again then. So, yes, so they complete, we have the food pyramid to make sure that we see what is being offered to them. It's a different type of, it's usually catered to their culture, what they would like to have. So they prepare a full meal and then they receive ingredients to make it again at home. The parents now go to the farmers markets. They have the schedule. They use their SNAP cards. Again, it's a whole circle. We call our parents change agents because they're the first ones who are serving food to their children. And we are so pleased and so grateful to Mass Fresh for really supporting and financing our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy, Herbert, and Satya. I'm now going to turn it over to Oren Gudlerner from Bridge Boston.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so honored to be with you today and honored to be a recipient of the inaugural Fresh Grant. So I will just introduce myself briefly, and then I would love for you to actually see our garden in action, see some of our students in action. I'm Oren. I'm the interim executive director here at Bridge Boston, previously the chief academic officer at the school. And we would love to take you on a quick video tour of what is known at our school as Jen's Garden. This is a garden that we erected last year in honor of our founding school principal, Jen Daly. So why don't we take a look at what happens at Jen's Garden, and I can tell you a little bit more about how it connects to our overall programming.
Oops. It seems like the audio is not coming through, Lisa.
Two classes in the garden, and we
Do I have to can you hear it now?
Yeah, I think you needed to unmute, so if you want to
I'll start it over.
start over, yeah.
What do you like about the garden here? Can you tell me what you're pointing at?
Hi, my name is Addie. I work with Green City Growers, and I'm an urban farmer educator for Bridge Boston. So I've been coming every week and working with the K2 classes in the garden. And we have 8 beds, and there's a ton of vegetables growing in every bed. Today, I'm going to have the K2 start off each with a flower, and we put tape around their wrists, and they take the petals off and make little flower bracelets. And then we're going to have them help water the garden. So I have watering cans for each kid. And then we're going to harvest all of our turnips. So I'm going to have them harvest and then each cultivate their area of soil, fertilize, and then we're going to seed in spinach, which does really well in the fall. And then I'm just looking around to see what's ready. We'll harvest eggplants, we'll harvest beans, we'll harvest peppers, might pick a few carrots. Yeah, there's just kind of things to harvest, so we'll just have to get to work and harvest.
What did you like about making that bracelet? Beautiful.
Here's radishes. Can you see these big green leaves here? Underneath is a radish. Yeah, those. You're gonna grab it all around and you're going to pull it up, and you'll see what you got. Yeah, get that one, Elijah. Pull it, pull it. You got two, Elijah. Here's another different color. Guys, get the dirt off of it now. On me. Oh my gosh, look at that. We gotta get the dirt off. Ready?
Tomato. What do you cook with tomatoes? What comes with tomatoes? Can I see all your turnips? Can you hold them up for me?
Everyone hold them a turnip. No, this one. Look at this one. There you go.
Can you guys cultivate? Cultivate.
I'm just smiling at Gigi there, who has a mouthful of carrots, her favorite. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of a view of Jen's Garden. And I'll tell you a bit more about the program, about our school. So we are a K1 to 8th grade school serving 335 students. We're located right in the heart of Roxbury. And the primarily serving low-income students, almost 100% students of color, over 3/4 low income. And importantly, about 47% of our students are not native English speakers. And so one of the other things I was noticing in this video, and what you'll see every day at Jen's Garden, is a collaboration between our general education teachers, our special education teachers, and our teachers of English language learners too. And so the amount of language development that happens when students are having these kinds of hands-on experiences and really getting to talk about their work and their learning is just so invaluable to English development, which is such an important part of what we do at our school. Our mission has always focused on educating the whole child. So we have a long tradition at our school of doing lots of things that remove obstacles to learning. So we have a large full service support team here. And we've always seen food as and access to high quality food as an important part of advancing our mission to make sure our students are at their best every day, ready to learn. So when we moved into our renovated school building, one of the first things that we did was build a kitchen where we could scratch cook every day. So every day at this school, we have a breakfast, snacks, and lunch that incorporate fresh produce. We have a partnership with an organization called Gaining Ground Farm, which provides fresh produce to our school for scratch cooking every day. And then we extend that into the classroom and talk a lot with our students about healthy eating, food access, and equitable food access. So if you had any view into the surrounding neighborhood of where we are in Roxbury, we're right at a very busy intersection, inner city Roxbury. This is not the typical neighborhood where students can get closer to see the way food is actually produced. And so it's more, as much as food consumption is important and we're teaching healthy eating, we also really want students to experience hands-on, like where food comes from. And that's where Jen's Garden has come in and where this grant has come in. We're experts at education. We're not expert farmers at our school, believe it or not. So we, with the grant funds, we were able to partner with an organization called Green City Growers. And so you saw Farmer Addie, who came here, who is a specialist in urban farming. And they're providing just exceptional programming to our students and making sure that like our farm is actually thriving, that this garden it's highly productive. We have tomatoes, we have carrots, potatoes. Recently we had a back to school night and we just put out like a huge table of fresh produce for our families to take home. They were completely blown away that, this was food that was grown on site here in Roxbury at their kids' schools. It was just a great way to build community with our families as well. And without the support of this grant, we were able to invest in the infrastructure of this garden, but we wouldn't be able to bring this incredible specialized programming and expertise to our space. And so that's what the grant has done for us so far. For us, the next step is to build out even more curriculum to make connections between what's happening outdoors and what happens inside in the classroom. We've identified a couple of target grades and some science standards that really lend themselves well to this type of hands-on work. So you see the work happening now with our K-2 classrooms, and they're focused on the science standards around plant growth and the conditions that plants need to grow. Next up for us this spring is really starting to engage our 7th graders who will be involved in actually doing the planting, the spring planting, and thinking more about what ecosystems need and thinking about the different types of experiments that can be done to create ecosystems that can produce these types of amazing vegetables. So just the flexibility of the learning that can happen in these spaces and with this kind of support, not only brings to life the kinds of lessons that will advance the science standards in the classroom, but I really believe it also helps our students see their community in a different way. There are not a lot of farms in inner city Roxbury, and now our students can go home every day and feel really proud that their school is contributing to food access, and that they can really see what is possible in any spaces in the city. So we just want to thank you again. Feel really grateful to have this opportunity to be here and talk to you, and can answer any questions about our program at Bridge Boston. I'd love to do that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Oren, and to all of our panelists. Really great to hear what the investment from the Fresh Grant has meant to your school community and to the students and families who've really benefited. So an inspiration for for other schools and early care programs that want to embark on this kind of farm to school experience. And we hope that the funds will be available through a permanent program for more schools to do that. I'll turn it back over to Lisa.
Great. Thanks, Simka. And thanks to the three great group of panelists. It's really inspirational. And I think, one of the things that Massachusetts Food for Massachusetts Kids does as a coalition is really try to bring these types of examples and stories up so that they can be shared across the state in the hopes that, to support legislation that provides further public investment to such programming. And so Simka mentioned earlier, one of the things that Massachusetts Food for Massachusetts Kids does is also support other food system legislations. And so in addition to the grant program, which we really focused on today, we just want to point out that there are other legislation in the Massachusetts legislature right now that is important and we're supporting, and we encourage you to take a look at, contact your legislators about. The first one was introduced by Representative Dom, which is 83993, which supports a local food incentive program. So that that bill would provide local reimbursement for food purchased from Massachusetts or New England. So provides a financial incentive for schools to really leverage, again, that universal school meals program and federal dollars coming into the state to support local economies, local agricultural economies, and get more local food into the cafeteria. And then also the Act to Promote Food Literacy, currently with the Education Committee, S310 and H601, which would establish a food literacy fund within the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and really encourage and promote food literacy as a topic that students would learn about in school and provides infrastructure around that initiative. So we encourage you to take a look at those two pieces of legislation and contact your legislators about that. And if you're a legislator or a staff member, feel free to reach out to us. We're excited to chat about those two exciting pieces of legislation as well. But really, we've heard from three great examples of what public investment in food farm to school can look like across the state. And we really want to see the farm to school grant program become a permanent piece of Massachusetts. And so we're really excited to have some momentum coming out of the summer. And like Representative Pignatelli said, it's a race to the finish line. And we really are looking forward to getting the farm to school grant program legislation out of the Committee of Education and getting it passed this session. We think there's obviously great proof that a successful program, the demand is there, and it really makes an impact in communities. So if you're a legislator or a staff member, please feel free to reach out to us. We're excited to chat with you about these pieces of legislation. And if you're folks on the line and want to contact your legislator to co-sponsor and help it get passed, we encourage you to do so. And with that said, we have about 9 minutes or so for questions, comments. I know that the three panelists are excited to answer any questions you have about their programs. I know Simka and I and others on the line can answer any questions you may have about legislation. So I'll turn it over to Simka, who I think has been monitoring the Q&A.
Yeah, so we had a great question wondering whether for coastal communities, the grants can also be used to connect to aquaculture learning and access. And most definitely the answer is yes. So farm to school is really probably not as all-encompassing a term as we would ideally have. We often talk about farm and sea to school because we know here in Massachusetts we have a tremendous fishing and aquaculture industry. We actually do have one of the initial grantees that was out on Cape Cod use some of that funding for clamming equipment so that they could learn about clamming with students, because that really is part of the an important part of the food system where they're located. So yes, I think we're seeing incredible creativity from different communities, really figuring out how to do place-based learning with their students that's most reflective of what are the important elements of the food system where they live. There was another question about hydroponic gardening. And I would again say, yes, that was actually one of the things that we saw as one of the most common investments that grantees in the first cycle made. A tremendous number of schools purchasing indoor hydroponic growing towers. We recognize that here in New England, for those who want to do hands-on garden-based learning with kids, there are many months of the school year when that's a little bit challenging if you want to do it outside. And so a really great innovation we're seeing from schools is bringing that gardening indoors, often through hydroponics, and sometimes really strategically placing those growing towers in a place like the cafeteria so that every kid is seeing what is growing. It's not just in one class, and that there are those direct connections between growing the food and eating it as well. So a lot where the schools are actually growing lettuce hydroponically in the cafeteria, and then that lettuce is going right into the school salad bar. Again, I encourage folks to read the short summaries of what the 16 different grantees have done to date, and we will be putting out a more thorough report on grantees shortly. Another question about how schools are maintaining gardens in the summer. I don't know if any of the grantees want to speak about this.
Yeah, I mean, I could jump in briefly. So we actually run full year programming at Bridge. So the garden was part of our summer school as well. A big part of our summer school curriculum, in fact. And, just to emphasize again how important it is that we have the resources to partner with Green City growers who can year-round maintain the garden. So when we're on vacation, when we take little breaks here and there, I promise, we have this great partner who can come in and make sure the garden is still thriving. So I just wanted to emphasize that again, how important it is to form those partnerships.
As an early education care center, we are open year-round, and even during vacations, winter vacations, spring vacations, we are open, and just to make sure that our parents can be working full-time. So we are working the garden full-time and have access to water at all times. So it works out well.
Yeah, summertime is when so much of our produce grows, and as many of you mentioned, children harvest those vegetables and fruits and take it back to our chef, who in turn makes things like salsa, or sometimes it never goes into the kitchen and the peas are picked right off the garden and into their mouth. So yeah, it is an active garden, especially in summertime.
For Northampton, summertime is a challenge. We try to partner with various local community groups, and also some of the schools can try to create, before school gets out, like a volunteer sign-up list for families to take turns coming to do garden maintenance throughout the summer.
Thanks for all those great examples of how you're addressing this challenge. And I think it's a demonstration of how these farm to school programs can really be catalysts for building broader community engagement with the school. Certainly takes some planning, but figuring out those creative ways to get families or other community groups more involved with the growing that's happening at the school. Any final question also about programs that partner with cooperative extension or other master gardener programs? I do think there are some examples of that, even just within the first cohort of grantees, and certainly with other farm to school efforts, that there are some great resources in communities across Massachusetts of really experienced gardeners, or with that university sponsored cooperative extension program where schools can access resources to learn about or tap into some experts in their community who really already know a lot about gardening. Wonderful. So I want to thank all of our tremendous panelists for being with us today, to thank Representative Pignatelli and Senator Comerford for your leadership on this issue in sponsoring the Farm to School grant bill. I want to take Representative Pignatelli's call to action to really have some urgency with this bill, take that to heart. I hope that for the legislators on the call today that you really can help get this bill over the finish line this session so that many more students across the Commonwealth can benefit, as well as farmers and other food producers. And for those of you who are advocates or in schools and communities and interested in getting more involved with these issues, encourage you to join the 40 or so other organizations that are part of the Massachusetts Food for Massachusetts Kids Coalition. Check out our website. We have monthly meetings. There's a whole lot of action alerts there. So if you're looking for easy ways to reach out to your legislator, that's the place to go. We've got sample email, text, and things like that, and encourage you to invite legislators out to see your programs in action. It was great to be able to do this in a virtual setting, and we know it's really impactful also when people can hear directly from kids and get out and into your school gardens. So we have tips for how you might do those sort of legislator visits as well. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And with that, we will close out and hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks all.